Hello everyone, welcome back to the Not Too Shabby YouTube channel. My name is Marla and I'm with Mad About Cards and Crafts. Today I'm sharing this sweet spring themed card featuring the flower truck from the March Not Too Shabby Shop release. Here's the products that I'm using today. From Prima, the Color Blooms, this is called Soft Teal. I'm using Distress Embossing Glazes in, let's see, Cracked Pistachio, Broken China, Kitsch Flamingo, and then I'll be using a clear embossing powder from Hero Arts. I'll be using some Distress Oxide in Twisted Citron, Cracked Pistachio, Broken China, and Kitsch Flamingo. Here's the star of the show. This is the flower truck. It comes with that large, freshly picked flowers. The truck, 2 florals, some sentiments, and then a mason jar filled with some florals. The paper pad that was released for the month is called Dots for Spring. It's a pastel collection with both itty bitty dots and larger dots. I love Swiss dots. I think this is beautiful paper. From Lawn Fawn, the stitched rectangles. Bursting Bouquet from LDRS Creative, and this is the Oliver Alpha set from Lawn Fawn. I'm adding some water paper from B to my Misty, and I'm going to be doing some heat embossing with this. I have the truck. As you can see, I have used the truck prior to this. I'm using my anti-static tool. That's why it's pink. Yours will not come with the pink color. It's just stained from the colors that I was using when I was stamping it out earlier. I have that Broken China, and I'm going to stamp this several times. Even though Distress Oxide typically does stamp nicely, I am stamping it a few times because, as I said, I am using watercolor paper. I did use the smoother side, but you still have little bumps in the paper. It's a cold press watercolor paper, so there's still bumps in the watercolor paper, and I'm just going to stamp it a few times before I add that Distress Embossing Glaze. I do try to use my anti-static tool very heavily when I'm using this Distress Embossing Glaze. It is a very fine powder, so you saw that I didn't flick the bottom of my paper like I normally would because that would take a lot of the embossing glaze off. I simply just tapped it lightly on the side, and then I brought my heat tool to the back side of the paper and next to the front. I'm going to do the same thing with this freshly picked flowers. I'm going to ink it several times using that Broken China, and then I will bring back in that embossing glaze, and you're going to see that I get a really nice impression. All of the products that are available in Jamie's shop will be listed in the description box below, as well as links to her social media pages. She does have an Instagram account. If you create something using some of these amazing stamps that are coming out at the Not Too Shabby Shop, make sure that you use that hashtag Not Too Shabby Shop, or make sure that you tag her with an ampersand, so at the Not Too Shabby Shop. We would absolutely love to see what you've created and share any of the photos that you add to your social media accounts. I'm going to add the tulips. Tulips are my absolute favorite spring flower, so I'm using the Kitsch Flamingo. As you could see, I did mask off the bottom. I'm using my fingernail just to get the over inking off of the stems, and now I'm going to bring in that Kitsch Flamingo again, the Distress Embossing Glaze, and I'm going to heat emboss that. Next, I'm coming in with Cracked Pistachio, and I did the same masking, and then I added that same embossing glaze to those stems. Here I'm using that Color Bloom Soft Teal spray, and I did blot it up. I wanted just a very light coating, and then I'm taking a 3 3/4 by 5-inch Lawn Fawn stitched rectangle and cutting out my card panel. I'm adding the Bursting Bouquet, which has been sprayed with pixie spray on the back side, and now I'm adding some Twisted Citron, and that Twisted Citron is a perfect match to the green dot paper that I'm using there to the right. And the nice thing about this is it lines back up nicely so I can see where I wanted it stenciled. If I miss some spots, I can lay it back down. You'll see that in just a second I've decided that I want some through the window, and I'm going to struggle for a few seconds lining it up, and that's because I turned my stencil. So it's really easy to line up. I just had the stencil in the wrong direction. Once I get it in the right direction, it's easy for me to figure out. I'm going to cut down my pattern papers now. So I'm using the pink, and for the pink I've cut that down to 4 by 5 1/4. Finally, the green is going to be A2 size, which is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which is also going to be my card panel, which is going to be Neenah Solar White 110-pound cardstock. I took that cracked pistachio distress oxide and I just did a little bit of ink blending around the edges. And I have this piece of foam that came in some packaging, and I'm using that up so that I get a little bit of dimension on the back of this watercolor paper. The watercolor paper from B is pretty thin, so I really like to either add foam tape or something to the back side just to give it a little bit more stability. I'm going to use my art glitter glue again, and I'm going to glue this panel down to the pink panel so I have that nice border. And once I finish with that, I will also add some glue to the back of the pink panel and layer that onto the green panel. The art glitter glue is not available until spring, so probably I would say like around April or May it's going to start shipping again. Here I've cut out the Oliver alphas into the word hello. I have 3 pieces of the white, so 3 O's are cut out in white. I'm going to line those up as best I can, and then I'm going to add the O that I cut out of the pattern paper, so it'll give me a nice chipboard feel letter. And I love to do this with my letters. That's one of the staples in my collection. I do have several different styles of alphas, and I think that they're probably my most loved dies in my die sets. That and the rectangles. I think I probably use rectangles and alphas more than anything else. So I'm going to have a nice beautiful piece of chipboard, and then I'm going to take my T-square ruler, and that's another really nice inexpensive product to have in your stash. I think you can get them at like Joann's for $3 or $4, and they are just lifesavers for trying to line things up. So I'm going to use my art glitter glue, and I'm going to use my T-square ruler to try to get everything straight and fairly evenly spaced. And so I'll glue a couple of these down and show you. And then we're going to come in with some twine. Now the twine is just a ball of string basically that I happened to find in a closet. I guess I must have purchased it. I think it was like made for packaging back in the day, and so I have been using this and I love it. It's fairly thin, so it doesn't add a lot of bulk. I'm going to tape it to the back of my panel, and then I'm going to wrap it around about 3 times. So here I'll add that tape. I'll cut that overhang off with my scissors, and then I'll wrap it all the way around and tape it again. And then I'll very carefully, because it's really hard for me to tie small bows with my nails, I actually have found that my reverse tweezers work magic when tying a bow. It helps me get that second loop through. So I'm going to tie a bow, and then I'm going to glue that down using the art glitter glue as well. As I said, my finished card is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And it is, the card base is Neenah Solar White 110-pound cardstock. And that is pretty much going to be my card for today. We are going to have a new release in April. Jamie will be releasing product at the beginning of every month now. So she is going to start offering subscription boxes. Please be on the lookout for that information. It will be coming soon. So she is going to have a fun subscription every month, and I hope that you subscribe, because I have seen some of the products that are coming up and they are amazing. I'm going to leave you with a look at my final card. If you haven't subscribed to the Not Too Shabby Shop channel, I would absolutely love for you to subscribe. Also, if you're interested in seeing more of what I create at Mad About Cards and Crafts, I will have a link to my information also in the description box below. So until next time, I hope that you have a fabulous day, and I want to thank you so much for watching.